Welcome back to Tran Plays Barotrauma. As you might be able to hear, we are currently facing off with an Endworm. I flipped on the recording once we encountered it. I've always felt that Endworms are just a little bit too spongy, but I get it. They are gargantuan, so it makes sense. It's just not the most exciting battle for me. Hopefully it makes for a better video than it does for gameplay. I think if the game worked on its performance issues and increased the speed of the game, it'd also probably be cooler. So we get to enjoy our zoomed out camera while we fight this Endworm. This is what a battle looks like. Alright, let's go ahead and cycle out our weapons. Right now I'm using explosive quill gun rounds. I ran experiments and found the time to kill for each quill gun and laser ammo versus an Endworm. Maybe I had thought about making videos on that kind of topic, but I didn't want to be accused of stealing ideas from other videos. But the thing is, if you've watched any of my playlists, I always try to optimize my performance in game. So that might mean going double daggers or picking a low-level spell that I can ramp up to obscene amounts. It's just something I've always gone for. And I worry that if I share that kind of information, that it'll look like I'm imitating someone else and make the community unhappy with my videos. The primary reason an Endworm fight seems like a battle of endurance to me, other than the Endworm's equally gargantuan health pool, is that it just keeps leaving combat range. Perhaps if our turrets could shoot further, but then the game would need to make us see further too. It's probably an intended mechanic to allow players to repair between attacks or something. Direct hit. Let's see what kind of payload we were actually working with. A masterwork nuclear charge. I need to get my bots out of this drone, so the best way to do that is to fix up the walls real quick. Now this flora, I'll deal with that later. I feel that I would like navigation more if we could incorporate sonar-less movement in coordination with zoom out. Basically, click and hold and your sub moves that way. Keeping above the Endworm is my preference due to having 3 guns on the bottom. But if I could dock my drone on top of the sub, it would be easier to stay below it. Not that I have any idea how to use the Barotrauma submarine editor, but I've been toying with the idea of making like some sort of giant mecha Voltron thing, where it's comprised of at least 5 shuttles that you could use to form like a humanoid mech or a sub. So in this case, if we had, say, docking bays on top and bottom, I might be able to move the gun. That would be pretty cool, but it would be insane, a lot of work, and probably players would not really want to utilize that in the slightest. First off, it'd be very cumbersome and would not be battle appropriate. Target down. We've essentially gone from, this is Ryla, we were here, and then every node we went to, we would kill all the abyssal monsters or activate all the beacon stations next to it before moving on. So we kind of went over here, grabbed these, went back this way, all this way, and then over here, and finally here. We've reached Bathgon, and we're now going to go to Nythra Outpost, and that'll be the first dock that we've had since then, and then I guess we're out of here. I don't know if this is the in-game area or what, because this is unusual to me not to have two different outposts, a coalition and separatist, to lock me down. So I'm kind of curious what's behind that door. Maybe it's just a new biome that's meant for 76 to 100% difficulty. I don't know. Put on the electrical goggles. They allow me to see wires. I'm assuming all the red wires are actual power and all the blue marching ants are just normal wires. All right, so how did I code in the gun? Normally, this navigation terminal, velocity X out, would go straight to a large engine. Normally, velocity Y out would go straight to the 3 pumps. We have a... It's not a live target. I don't need electric recoil anymore because everything's dead. This next segment is going to be about electrical engineering. If that stuff definitely does not interest you, please feel free to use the chapters to skip ahead. In most of my videos, I put in chapters, and I hope that you make the time worthwhile by utilizing it, instead of clicking off the video. Okay, let me start over. Okay, we are almost 2,000 meters out from Nythra Outpost. Beacon station is repaired and behind us. Let's talk about the turret. Also, we almost reached 500 minutes at sea. We have not yet docked. The way our navigation terminal works is when you select something on a nav terminal, up or down, left or right, that feeds into velocity X out and velocity Y out. X being left and right, Y being up and down. My two wires, the black ones go to turret, the blue ones go to engine. The blue one, this is my engine relay component. The X goes here, the Y goes here, and they basically go straight across to signal out 1. This black wire now goes to the shuttle from before, and this goes straight to the engine. What this results in is my shuttle, when it's docked, will push my vehicle, my submarine. So it's the same as before, but instead of straight from the nav terminal, there's this relay component as an in-between. The signal in 2, that's the velocity Y out, will lead straight to my 3 pumps as well as my drone shuttle signal check component right here. This is all toggled on or off by the knot switch. When this lever is up, it's pointing at the knot, and thus my engine is running. When the lever is down, it instead toggles on my turret. These black wires here lead to this relay component. Let's take a look at that. And so we have the X and Y as before, and the lever directly says like, hey, when the lever is flipped down, this relay component is active. So either the relay component or the turret is active, one or the other. I could make it work both, but I wanted to try to simplify things. And yes, I see all of that ballast flora. These both lead into the ATAN component, but one of them leads into the X, specifically the velocity X out, and one of them leads to the signal in Y, specifically the velocity Y out. That's right here. So they both jump into X and Y, and then there's an appropriate signal out for X and Y components into straight to the turret. The wire goes straight there because I wasn't this is just my first draft, so I haven't totally cleaned up the wires on purpose because I figured I just would detach them if I needed to make any fixes. All right, so these 3 components here decide whether or not I'm firing my gun, as well as this signal check component would eventually have me a text display. I don't have any silicon, I can't build a text display, but when I do have one, this will lead a signal out and say like, hey, this lever, we are currently on engines, or we are currently on turret. That's all the signal check is. This lever itself, though, that's the turret component. This is the not, which leads into the engine component. This is the and, which is my firing mechanism. And then this is my text display. Let's take a look at the firing mechanism. As long as it's receiving a signal from the lever, which is when the lever is flipped down, and then as long as it's detected that I've pressed the navigational button number 2, which currently says reactor shutdown, there's nothing I can do about that, it will then start firing. It leads to the relay component signal out. This one right here. Toggle state. This basically flips the relay on or off, so that way when I press the button again, it stops firing. The memory component just tells me what signal to keep sending out. In this case, it's going to be a 1, was it? Yes, 1. We have some bogeys. Let's take a look, see if we can detect them on our radar. They're below us, so they wouldn't matter at all. But let's pretend it mattered. In fact, it's actually better that it doesn't right now. Okay, so I'm going to go and disable Sootman because I currently have not wired it that we can't fight over the controls. That's what these AND components will be for, is when the NOT is flipped and is plugged in the periscope, then it will accept controls. But right now, both the periscope and the nav terminal will control the same gun. So I've disabled Sootman for the time being, just so that I can show you this helm gun. Flip that off. We've almost come to a standstill. I'm not going to worry about making a complete standstill. And then we're going to flip this lever. By doing so, whatever we had for X and Y before, that's still in place. That doesn't matter now what I do here. What this will do is make my turret move. So if it's pointing straight up, it'll point straight up. This is unfortunately not exactly where the turret is. This is the center mass of my submarine. My turret's like right here. But if I were to point like that, it's going to aim at an angle. So this is basically from center mass of my submarine, not from where the turret actually is. And then if I press the reactor shutdown button, I cannot recode this. I cannot reconfigure it. So that's just what it's going to say. If I press this, it's going to keep firing. And I can just wave it around. And this would be a lot more impressive if it was a chain gun, but there are no chain gun large hardpoints. I can only have a flak cannon, a railgun, and a double coil gun. Because of the sheer amount of space that this has to cover, okay, it has to cover from here to say about here. That's a lot. That's like 180 degrees of coverage that it pretty much has to try to take care of. Like this can so much support it, but realistically, this does not need to be a railgun. If it had a second support or even a third support gun, then sure, railgun away. But I don't feel right about having this sole defense be a railgun. Which lessens the need for having a navigational terminal turret, but I just thought I would try to take on that task and see if I could. But yeah, it would be I'm sure it would look really cool if it was a chain gun. So we're gonna flip this back, and now we're back to engines. That is the navigation terminal turret. We have something right there. Let me try this out. Actually, you know what? Even though we'll run into something inevitably, I'm gonna go ahead and manually take control of this turret. So we're flying backwards for sure. Zoom out. I'm now controlling this turret. Unfortunately, all of this stuff is in the way and I can't move it. A little too high. I can only see bits and pieces of where the gun's shooting, but I am definitely hitting. Apparently, I must have run out of ammo. We never ran into anything. Cool thing is we can actually kind of watch it get line up. That's very, very precise, the way the game actually expects you to line up, but it's surprisingly easy to do. Contact with Nythra Outpost was recently lost, and there have been reports about a notorious group of outlaws. There's a bounty. I've set up 3 teams. We'll see how well this works. I've never used the attack icon. Nashvex, Officer Neva, and Petron will be leading their teams respectively. Nashvex isn't really leading because he can't speak anymore. It's one of the downsides of being a zombie. Only AI could probably juke like that. My engineers are choosing to use their steam cannons instead of their shotguns, which I actually equipped in their hands before we started this. They just... Okay, that was weird. They opened the door and started backpedaling, but never took a shot. So the mechanics are assigned to fix leaks and then repair. So if they were to shoot a hole open in the station, the mechanics would fix it. The doctors are of course assigned to heal and then follow. It's like a swarm of ants. Jeez, okay. I guess they're done. Yeah, they wrapped up. It's gonna take me a while to reorder everybody, but it was kind of cool. I had to do it at least once. Return my ants back to base. Finally found a masterwork rare weapon. Rare as in Deadeye Carbine is not one that I can manufacture, and masterwork being the highest quality it could be. I had a normal one, and we've upgraded today. Per shot, this appears to do less damage when compared to the SMG. Not sure why. I mean, that's just what the numbers on the wiki site tells me. If the SMG does, let's see, about 32.5 damage, and the Deadeye Carbine does roughly 27.5 damage. The Carbine is more accurate and fires slower, and it even seems to have less of a chance to stun. I'm not sure why you would necessarily pick it. Oh, I'm sure there are reasons. Still, the rifle is just really good, and the fact that it can shoot grenades out at whim makes this an unmatched weapon. The only thing the Carbine passes the SMG is in accuracy, but maybe that's enough for it. We're gonna go ahead and go this way so that we can defeat the abyssal creature, and then we're going to head on to the unknown. Well, first we have to go to Linea. Is it a Cryptus? It's a pretty short sonar blip. Oh wow, this is going to be an easy fight. I've had to fight so many Endworms to get to this point that everything else pales in comparison. This is gonna miss. Yeah, he just turned to the right. Even before zoom out, I've thought about having a light switch feature in my sub. I think being able to dim the lights will make it easier to tell what's going on from a zoom out view. Whiff. So, oh, it hit the tail. I'm gonna have to look to see if that did any actual real damage. It probably did. Oh, I could fire another one, right? Oh, it would torch my ship if I did, though. It would nuke myself. That's the kind of trouble people get into when they have railgun shells and they just shoot point blank at like a crawler or something. Yeah, look at this damage. That's nothing. I do that much damage just rewiring my batteries. So I ran some tests because I had heard that bandoliers give you a faster firing rate. I ran tests by recording footage of me just firing straight out with and without bandoliers, and it is true, you do fire turrets faster with a bandolier. It doesn't really make sense that I can think of in a practical method. I mean, unless your character is just swiftly putting shells from his chest pocket into the contraption that is a submarine motor, sure, but otherwise I'm not really sure how I can rationalize that. Nonetheless, it's one of the reasons why my gunners are huskified, because they don't need to have a suit on the outer layer. They can wear a bandolier instead. We've made it to... Wow. Okay, I was thinking this was going to be like a whole area, but yeah, the Eye of Europa. Okay, before we sail there, we're gonna exit out of this menu, which pauses, by the way, so you don't have to worry about running, having your submarine hit stuff. But we're gonna exit out. And we're gonna quickly repair our ship. It's not really that badly damaged. You know, it's just got some scrapes that are hard to reach on the front and on the back. Let me do that. We even go ahead and get fresh fuel rods. And stand by, and let's get this repaired. I mean, although you saw how long of a journey it's been, I still have tons of fuel rods. Because I really don't leave anything behind. And you probably think that this is too much stuff. Remember that I exactly cleared every node. If there was an abyssal monster or a beacon station, I took care of it. Obviously, I know that's not something you can do during Jovian radiation. I get that. But since I didn't have it on, why not make a unique playthrough where I'm actually securing the entire map? Most of the welding tanks are in this because they can blow up when they're on fire, and I am always paranoid about everything, so. Okay, I think we're done with everything. I think we're set. The Eye of Europa, 99% difficulty. Alright, here goes.